Welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on the organized private sector, its role in the economy, and also its activities in the last few months. We also have new stories for you. We will be right back.
Over the weekend, ASUU declared a 2-week warning strike amid warnings that the federal government will enforce a no-work, no-play policy on striking members.
These are issues dating back from 2009. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is desirous in keeping our children in school. And that's why we've maintained a congenial environment. 2 academic sessions have gone without strike. It's not coincidence. It's due to the robust engagement that we've engaged with ASUU and other trade unions.
On campuses nationwide, tensions is rising as ASUU accuses the government of breaking promises and failing to implement the Yayale Ahmed-led agreement.
No work, no pay. Come to think about it, are even the professors being paid? You're paying a professor about $350 in 30 days? And when you send the same professor out there on a technical aid, you pay him $2,000. While serving his fatherland, developing our youths, our manpower, you pay him about $350 in 30 days. Can you really beat your chest and say you are paying that professor?
The ASUU leader highlighted issues of unpaid arrears, withheld salaries, and unremitted deductions, calling the policy unfair and counterproductive.
The issue of renegotiation of 2009 has not been done. The issue of paying promotion arrears have not been done. The issue of paying the 25%, 35% salary award 1 year is still there. The issue of the third-party deduction is still there. So which of them have they really handled?
Students, on their part, urgent resolution to the lingering crisis.
I'm not okay with the strike. As a student, it elongates the years I need to spend in school.
Our honest opinion is if the government can't look out for the youth, then I don't know why they're on the seat.
While the federal government insists it has met most of the union's demands, ASUU maintains that real progress will only come when the 2009 agreement is signed and implemented.
It's been weeks since the tragic Afriland Towers fire that took 10 lives and left several others injured. But for families of the victims, the pain remains fresh. On a condolence visit, officials of the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund commiserated with the employers and dependents of the deceased workers.
I want to express our sympathy to you for what happened.
The team, led by the fund's General Manager of Compliance, visited the homes of some of the victims to offer comfort and prayers for the bereaved. They reaffirmed the agency's commitment to supporting the dependents left behind.
We have the mandate to pay compensation to any of the employer who have injury, disease, or death because of work. And we are aware that your mom worked with FROS and they comply with the law that established our assistance. When we had this news, we not only just very sympathetic, our management decided that we must come and pay a condolence visit to the employer, which FRS. We are just from there, from Ikoyi now, and we now did not stop there. We need to come and see the family on one-on-one to pay the condolence.
At the FIRS office in Ikoyi, officials commended the NSITF for the prompt response, noting that the employees' compensation scheme remains a lifeline for workers in distress. At United Capital PLC, management described the NSITF's gesture as reassuring, calling for stronger collaboration to ensure more employers and workers understand and benefit from the scheme.
It's very to, not just to me, but to everyone involved in this accident. So thank you.
The tragic fire has renewed conversations around workplace safety and strict compliance with the Employees Compensation Act, a reminder that behind every policy are lives that matter.
The rate at which unemployment is alarming. It is a very serious matter that needs emergency outlooks. So they have to be, what people can actually call declaring a state of emergency when it comes to unemployment. So it's a in fact, it's a serious matter as it is. Things that government can do is by creating an enabling environment for youth and people to get work. How? There are industries that are untapped as it is currently. Why not government do something about it so that people can go into such place and work or do something that will fetch them or earn them living? But since people are looking out for different things, it depends on how are we willing as youths to, are we willing to work? Looking at how the world is currently. So there are many different places, many places that is open for employment, but you can see that people don't want to work as it is. The little one that is remaining, they are trying to probably hijack it in terms of, okay, maybe in terms of not allowing it to go out, or families trying to hook their families into it.
Because right now the government is not doing anything about it, and the high rate of inflation in the country too had crippled most of the businesses which would have employed most of the youths. So I think government really need to do a lot.
The rate of unemployment is very terrible. People are losing jobs because of the current situation, and government is not making any, so from my own view, they are not making any efforts to make sure that jobs are retained, providing an enabling environment just so people can, do businesses. So, which is why the rate of unemployment in the country is very terrible. And it's so sad that every day inflation is getting worse, it's growing, and things are not done. So if this thing gets out of hand, the end point will be terrible. So government needs to put things in place. Government needs to be intentional and make sure that things get better.
I think government should provide more opportunity, because we have a lot of graduates outside there seeking for employment. If government can roll out a lot of opportunities so that people can enroll, the youth will even have something doing to keep everybody busy. So that's my own opinion. Government should just please and roll out some employment to the youth, because we have thousands of people are graduating yearly without no job. So what do you expect them to do? Please, government should just help us out so that to reduce the unemployment in the society.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the Director General of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. It tells me that there are several challenges the sector are faced with. He also provides solutions to some of the challenges to ensure that the country experiences economic boosts. Take a listen. Hello, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having us once again.
A lot has been happening in the world of work. Can you bring us up to speed on how the private sector has been faring? The year 2025 is almost wrapping up. We're in the last quarter. What would you say has been your assessment so far?
Well, let me first commend the resilience and doggedness of organized private sector of Nigeria. Notwithstanding the challenges we have faced over the years, the private sector remains the engine of national development. With the advent of the reforms, the reforms comes with its own challenges, and rightly so. The macroeconomic situation has stabilized to a large extent. The naira seems to be stable, currently stable, and I think growing strong. We also hope that the value of the naira will continue to gain strength so that its effect on the purchasing power of everybody can be felt more. But at the macroeconomic level, the challenges still remains. The cost of business is still high. We still have legislative challenges. We still have regulatory challenges. We still have laws that needs to be amended or needs to be suspended. The president a few months ago magnanimously suspended the implementation of the Financial Reporting Council levy. A few days ago, the Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy also urged Customs to suspend the 4% FOB, which is causing a lot of disquiet in the business community, especially those that are importing. The conversation we had this morning, a company that was supposed to clear its goods for 4 million, because of the 4% FOB, they were paying about 50 million to clear. And the reality is this: when that happens, those extras, they feed back into the cost of production or cost of sales. And on the long run, what are those to buy? They're not angels. They are Nigerians that will buy it. And those costs will have been passed back to them. So we can't be killing those that we are posting to save in the context of making the regulatory and legislative environment more inhospitable for organized businesses. So by and large, the business community continue to survive, and we continue to demonstrate maximum resilience. And we're hoping that the gains of the overall reforms that this administration is pushing, rightly so, will be felt more, even as we wrap up the year 2025.
Speaking about economic issues, we know that Nigeria actually has experienced lots of inflation. At times it's high, at times it comes low. It's been fluctuating. But one thing has remained sacrosanct, the demand of workers to want to earn more salaries. I know that there's a minimum standard out there, which is almost due for a renegotiation. What's your position about the current minimum wage? We've seen some state government, try to increase the minimum wage that their workers do earn. For the private sector, what are the chances that workers in the private sector might get a boost?
I mean, a levy that the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of Economy has urged Customs to suspend. But Customs is still grandstanding that they're not going to suspend it. Now, this company wants to clear its goods at the port. He said the goods they will have cleared with 4 million. With the FOB, 4% FOB, they will be spending over 50 million to clear it. Now, where will that extra go? Because that extra 46 million that will go into the clearing will invariably go back to the cost of production. And who suffers the brunt on the long run? The consumers. And that will also eat into the already battered disposable income of the consumers. So we need to address these contradictions, because we don't understand the reason why the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, we give a directive based on the overall economic objective of the administration. And an agency under the government, we say no, because the 4% FOB is a law. If a law is not serving Nigerians' overall economic objective, we are not foreigners, we are all Nigerians. If the law is not serving the overall economic objective of the country, then we shouldn't be shy to say, okay, let's suspend it, as the Minister of Finance has urged, and as the President has also magnanimously, looking at his overall economic objective, the Renew Hope agenda, and said, look, even the FRCM, Financial Reporting Council levy, the President himself put it on suspension. It was the law, but if it doesn't serve the general overall economic objective of the nation at any particular time, we should not hide under the law and continue to stifle the business growth. So those are the critical issues, the conversation I think we should be having. Minimum wage, yes, it should be there, but we should be more concerned about what quantum of goods and services can a naira buy. If we address that, the figure, as per whatever we arrive at minimum wage, will not be an issue.
how best do you think the federal government and relevant regulatory bodies, how best do you think they can make the organized private sector work for them and also the people?
It's in our own best interest as a nation to get the organized private sector to work. It's in our own best interest as a nation to get the real sector, the manufacturing sector, the services sector, for them to be running on full throttle. That is how we can achieve our 1 trillion naira GDP that the president is so passionate about. And that's just the reality of it. And to achieve that, every law, all regulation must be aiming to help us achieve it. Any law, regulation, or whatever we call it, that tends to want to stifle our ability to achieve that aim, we should not be shy to suspend, to pause, or to amend them, because regulators must promote businesses. Customs must promote trade. All agencies must be focused on doing the things that will help the overall economic objective of this country. I said, the consumers are Nigerians, the business owners are Nigerians. We are all Nigerians. So it doesn't help the nation as a whole for us to continue to stifle our businesses, looking at organized businesses as foreigners. They are all Nigerians. Nigerians are the shareholders in those businesses, and Nigerians are the ones that will buy those goods and services. So let regulation promote businesses. Let agencies promote a hospitable environment for businesses to thrive. That is the best way we can attract foreign direct investment, generate jobs, and make the country serve all of us as Nigerians.
Very quickly, unemployment is still a big challenge in Nigeria. But from observations and research, it can be said that we have more people in employment at the informal setting and setup. I would like to ask, how is NECA encouraging, small businesses and also jobs that are actually in the informal sector?
Thank you for the question. We have one or two platforms where we are currently supporting businesses in the informal sector. And, it is important also that we don't leave those in the informal sector in that informal state. The global trend is formalizing the informal sector, but we run the risk of not getting them out of that informal sector because of what we are doing to the formal sector. So if the informal sector operator that basically operating under the radar, that can do a lot of things, he can run without paying taxes, he can run his business without regulatory strangulation. Once they see what is happening to those in the formal sector, it's a direct disservice or disinterest for them to want to come to the formal sector, because they know, look, that businesses will face multiple challenges being in the formal sector. But we still cannot lose hope. So we are currently working with the International Labour Organization, creating platforms, creating learning opportunities, building capacities of those in the informal sector, so that progressively they can attain that formal state that we want them to attain, so that it can be better for the country as a whole. But I can tell you, and I can confirm, as you said, the informal sector remains one of the key drivers of this economy, because of the massive transactions that goes on, cash transactions that goes on in the informal sector, massive entrepreneurial, innovative actions or processes that goes on in the informal sector. But our target should be formalizing the informal sector for the benefit of both those in the informal sector and then the country as a whole.
Okay, very quickly. Recently, NECA commended the CBN's decision to reduce the monetary policy rates. Can you bring us up to speed on what the implication of what this implies?
We have consistently advocated this, that there should be relaxing of the MPR, and we are glad that that was done. That reduces the cost of funds, give organized businesses opportunity to to access credits at a cheaper rate. And the more credit you can access, the more your potential to expand. The more you expand, the more your capacity to employ. That means you are creating jobs. The more jobs you create, the more the ability of governments to generate revenue within the context of pay as you earn, and also corporate tax. So, and the more people we take out of the streets, the lesser the rate of insecurity. So you can see the chain of reaction. While that is done, we also hope that more relaxation will be done so that businesses can enjoy the relief of getting access to funds at cheaper rates.
In the world of work in the 21st century, we all know or would agree that training and retraining is important. Can you bring us up to speed on some of the trainings that the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association has been able to, carry out recently? And what would be your recommendations to employers of labor and even the workers themselves towards upskilling?
Well, another very important question you just asked. We are currently involved in three different platforms of training. First, the NECA ITF Industrial Training Fund Technical Skill Development Project. Through that platform and through the many organizations that we are currently training with, we are offering quality training, industry-needed training for many Nigerians, many young Nigerians, free of cost, absolutely free of cost. They are going through the training, they are being certified, and many of them are also creating jobs and getting jobs. That is one part of it. The second leg of what we are doing currently is through the collaboration with International Organization of Employers, with support from Microsoft. We are actually training 100,000 Nigerian youths. We have the opportunity to train 100,000 Nigerian youths on artificial intelligence fluency. You agree with me that without artificial intelligence, the knowledge of artificial intelligence, a worker might just be running him or herself out of extinction, out of existence in the next few years. So we are currently training that across Nigerian, young Nigerians, adults, log into our platform, train, get yourself trained, and at the end of the 6 modules that you go through, print your certificate that shows that you are now AI fluency. At the NECA ICT Academy, both in Lagos and Abuja, with support from the Industrial Training Fund, we are also training C-suite executives and directors in the public and private sector on introduction to AI. And for many of them that are interested, we're also training on advanced AI. We're also training on cyber security and 3D animation, including data analytics. So we are doing quite a lot in the context of skill development for Nigerians at free of cost. That's currently what we are doing in partnership with the Industrial Training Fund, and also with support from the International Organization of Employers in Geneva.
Talking about Geneva, you're a member of the International Labour Organization Board. Looking at what would be or should be the standard of work, what do you have to say as regards the employment rates in the country vis-a-vis the challenge we might be facing economically?
The ILO is the father or grandfather, or whatever I want to call it, of decent work. And the clamor for decent work remains at the topmost of the ILO's conversation with not only employers, but also workers. And also the need for each country to respect standards, respect ILO conventions, respect those recommendations that have been set for all of us to operate with. Those are minimum standards. So at the governing council level, the GP is the governing body level. The GP is consistently looking at countries, nations, through the Committee on the Application of Standards, to be watching who among members of the ILO are flouting conventions, who among ILO nations are not operating within the mantra of decent work, who among the ILO nations are not operating or are not giving due credence to social justice. So at the governing body level, those are issues that we keep looking at so that the Committee on the Application of Standards, when necessary, can summon those countries to the committee to come and give explanations why they are blatantly flouting international conventions, which are flouting conventions, which are basically international treaties that nations have signed. So quite a lot is happening at the governing body level to make sure that all nations, irrespective of their level of development, abide by the conventions and also abide to a large extent with the recommendations that guide the implementation of those conventions.
Thank you very much for sparing time with us.
Thank you for having us once again, Sharon.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.